This is a presentation that was given in Chattanooga, Tennessee in August 2009 as part of the Web Education Rocks tour. My name is Jeffrey Brown. I teach at Damascus High School in Damascus, Maryland. I am the coordinator for the web design classes and academy that we have at that high school. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about web standards in the classroom. And by the way, you can find me at teachmetheweb.org. I typically give this presentation to educators or people even if remotely involved in education. And I always start with this question: who wants to be a mediocre teacher? I never get a positive response. But we certainly have mediocre teachers, don't we? So why the disconnect? Why, if no one wants to be one, why do we have them? And I think that the answer is this. We often feel like we're carrying such a large load. We have so many things to do as an educator. We have to manage our classroom, and we have to manage our students, and we have to manage our facility, and so many more things. And you're asking me, Jeff, to teach web standards in the classroom, and I'm just getting by. So I have 5 steps that will help you alleviate that load. Make you feel a piece at a time that that load is getting lighter and lighter. The first thing is content development. You need to develop your program so that the content is on point. And lucky for you, you don't have to start from scratch. There's 2 and many more, but 2 really good resources. The Opera Web Standards curriculum, which you can find at that URL, is a collection of articles that you can use to give to your students as reading, or you can brush up with them as an educator, brush up on content. They are written by industry leaders, so you know that the content is correct. You could also give them to colleagues to brush up themselves. The WASP Interact curriculum is a curriculum set that is targeted to a 4-year and higher ed institution. However, it's all open source, and you can use this to adapt it to your school's and institution's needs. Even as a high school teacher, I've used this more times than I can count as a great resource. So you really need to develop your content and make sure that your curriculum is what it needs to be. Second is connect to the industry. You need to serve the needs of the students, and the needs of the students are to be prepared as web professionals when they enter the industry. Just as a med student prepares to be a doctor, our students are preparing to be web professionals. So how do you connect to the industry? There's many ways, but here's a couple ways that I've been successful. Field trips. As a high school program, my school went with Mr. Zach Gordon's school from Springbrook High School, and we went from Maryland to New York, New York, to the Future of Web Design Conference in 2008. It was a long day, but my students reaped great rewards from the things that they got to see that day and also interact with some people in the profession. Another thing that I've been very successful with is I bring in guest speakers every Friday. And this is Samantha Warren, who spoke on typography. And it really gives the students another way to connect to people in the industry. And I tell the guest speakers when they come in that they can talk about any topic that they feel passionate about within the industry. And it really gives the people in the industry an outlet to kind of express themselves, and it also gives the students connections and great insights to what they're really getting into. I've had many guest speakers, and this is a mere portion of them, but you can see from this list that my students are really gaining something here by some of the people that we've spoken to. You also notice that some of these people are not local to the Maryland, D.C., Baltimore area. And so what we do is we Skype. And I've recorded all of these presentations and I've released them on my website as a podcast. So the students can brush up on them later, or you as an educator or anyone can go see what these great speakers have to say. Third is advocacy. You need to talk about the problem. You need to talk about the lack of resources, and you need to make yourself invaluable. My journey began as me offering myself anytime I knew curricular meetings were happening in my area, me offering my help and saying, I'll go to that meeting. Can I just sit in? Maybe I don't have an active role, but maybe I can just sit in. And now that's changed to me being the person that my county calls when they have questions or need curricular advice or need resources. This is a key step to finding the needs of your institution and making people aware of them. 4 is professional development. You need to realize that there is no way that you can stay on top of everything that's going on in the web. It changes very rapidly, but you need to realize that we are lifelong learners. Web design is not a class that you can take for 6 weeks and be proficient in. As a teacher, you need to stay on top of all of the things that are going on as best you can. 5 is passion. This is something that I really wish I could give to you, but I can't. So you have to I ask myself, how do you make people passionate? And I think being around other passionate people helps tremendously, but also becoming inspired. Go back and look at the things that made you inspired to work in this field, to teach this content. Even if you got stuck teaching these classes, what are the things that you really like about it? What are the things that you really enjoy teaching? Use your inspiration to turn that into passion. Passion makes everything much more enjoyable. And even the work seems easier when you're passionate about it. So there are the 5 steps: content development, connect to the industry, advocacy, professional development, and passion. And you might be saying to yourself, well, Jeff, you just added more packages to my load. Now I feel like I have more to do than all those things I already had to do. And I disagree. If you follow these steps, your load will lighten. But to the naysayers, I have to ask again, who wants to be a mediocre teacher? Do you want to be mediocre? Or do you want students finding you years after you taught them to thank you for the program that you built to put them through that helped them be more prepared for the industry? Thank you.